After preparing for the Bone Zone all week, the Bitcoin boys have finally been boned. Meanwhile, the doggy coiners have evacuated themselves all over the chest of the doubters. But now all signs are pointing to this at any moment. Strap in and strap on, because we are about to enter the Bone Zone. I'm your host, Billy Bon Appetit, and with Bitcoin finally filling our entries in the Bone Zone, what happens next? And with the new king of doggy coins, Shiba Doggy Coin, what in Turkey Town is going on with this market? So guys, new channel, make sure to hit like, subscribe, turn these miss these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. As well, if you're setting bonuses or joining our pool to earn rewards with ADA, make sure to hit the link below and the pinned comment. And without any further ado, let's get boned. Very big. So for the last 5 or 6 days, we've been talking about the Bone Zone, and now we've very lightly touched right on the Bone Zone. But what comes next? And as we mentioned back here, there's something much more important to be watching. This was back on October 22nd, so 5 days ago. And we're going to be jumping into the charts and all of that in just a few. But the first thing I want to mention here is doggy coins. Absolutely going bananas here. And this is not necessarily a great sign, okay? They are mooning again, which has historically been a pretty good indication of an overheated market. If you guys remember back in April and May of last year, as Dogecoin started exploding, that marked the short-term top for Bitcoin's price. We crashed from 65K all the way down to about 29K. And it took multiple months for that whole process to play out. But the doggy coin, specifically Dogecoin, was one of the main markers of that. And now today, Shiba was the top Twitter trend in India, the world's second most populous country. About $500 million in volume just from the Indian exchanges there. And with that, we see the crypto fear and greed index back to highs that we haven't seen in multiple months in extreme greed levels. So it's just something we really need to be paying attention to. And again, I think everyone's aware of this potential head and shoulders pattern that has been forming on Bitcoin's chart that, again, could bring us down to exactly what I'm going to be jumping into in these charts in a second here. But it's just really important to be careful here because doggy coins have been extremely powerful. In fact, let's refresh the... Wow, about $30 billion of market cap for Shiba and about $30 billion of market cap for Dogecoin. My goodness, $60 billion in 2 doggy coins. Absolutely wild. Imagine if that money was in Bitcoin. But seeing the doggy coins so powerful right now is not necessarily something that most people in the space want to see. Obviously, the Shiba coiners are absolutely ecstatic, good for them on making the gains. However, that historically has not been a good sign for the rest of the market and even for this coin within the next week or so, okay? This is usually not a great signal to see this. It's pretty much bad for everyone in the crypto space, potentially in the very near future. However, with that being said, I'm going to be jumping into exactly, again, what I'm looking for with Bitcoin's price because I think, personally, obviously still, this is mega bullish. However, I just wanted to highlight in the short term, guys, objectively, it is not great when the doggy coins start doing well. That's really all I wanted to put out there with the first part of the video is just that that's usually not a great sign. So Dogecoin stunted the bull market about 5 months ago. Could Shiba stunt the bull market yet again? Okay, that's a fear I think a lot of people are watching. However, so far, nothing with Bitcoin's price has been bearish at all. In fact, like I said, we were talking about for the last few days about the Bone Zone, and I had my entries in the Bone Zone, and I even made this chart, like 5 days ago, just saying I don't care if we end up going a little bit below that down here, which we're going to be talking about in a second, because when it comes to my entries, that's not a big factor at all. And again, we're going to get into that in a second here, but according to this article here on Cointelegraph, those concerned about a drop to $58,000, this is nothing new. The dates of price phenomena in September and October of 2021 and 2017 pretty much are identical. And you can see that here with fib sequences, the rest of the quarter could follow the same exact timeline. And what that does require kind of is this retrace here, very similar to 2017, before we continue heading higher here. And again, that's what I think is most likely. So even though the beginning of this video was about doggy coins, and that's not the best thing to be seeing, overall, nothing at all has changed for Bitcoin being bullish right now, at all. Okay, so that's something I think is worth noting. So if we actually jump into Bitcoin's price here, obviously the Bone Zone is actually between like 57 and 58,000, which we have barely even dipped into, as you can see if we zoom in here, barely really dipped in here. But I actually want to introduce to you the absolutely Bone Zone, which is the very lowest that I think we could go, especially if we had like this head and shoulders pattern play out, okay, and still remain extremely bullish, okay. So, and again, it's not really anything new. I'm just deciding right now to label it. It's literally exactly what I talked about 5 days ago here. this level right here that I circled. But yeah, now I've labeled it the absolutely bone zone. Okay, so that's really important here. And that is kind of just in between the $52.5 to $54,000 range. But again, so far we have not even dipped into the bone zone. Like, we very lightly dipped our toes in there, not anything bearish whatsoever. In fact, I personally would expect that we do continue more to trade in here. And for like the past 5 or 6 videos, I've been saying the exact same thing, that I think we still need some more room to pull back before we can blast off here. With that being said, it's very clear, you know, this potential head and shoulders could bring us down to the absolutely bone zone, which we just referenced here in this chart. But as well, with that being said, just like back in the last explosion we saw at the end of 2020, back in October 2020, that lasted about 6 months until April, this is a normal consolidation before continuing higher here. And also right now we're testing the 21-day moving average. If we go on some of these shorter time frames, yeah guys, really nothing bearish has played out here. Could we still see some more downside over this next week? Absolutely. I think that's more likely than it is not likely. Meaning it's more likely we'll see more downside before we start pumping here. But again, I think it will be short-lived, and overall, really nothing has changed here, okay? In fact, some of these entries, I'm sure a lot of people didn't even get their entries filled yet because it went down to about 58.1 today. And remember, the bone zone is in between 57 and 58. So if it was 58.1, that did not go down to the $58,000 range. So again, it barely has really not dipped so far. I personally would expect that we actually should see more dippage over the next 2 to 3 days here. So do not count that out. And then ultimately a wick down to the absolutely bone zone here with maybe one maximum daily candle close down here, again, would still be nothing bearish whatsoever. If you get a new channel, make sure to like, subscribe, turn notifications to these absolutely time-sensitive alerts as well. If you're interested in any bonuses or joining our pool, make sure to check out the pinned comment below. And without any further ado,